within couple of minutes. Please wait. We are going to start the session within couple of minutes. Please bear with us. A very warm welcome to you all. On behalf of Team Fixie, I, Pushpita Rana, Manager, Industry Engagement and Placement. Now, today we are here to know more about FSSAI's initiative of Food Hygiene Rating System. It's a certification system for food businesses supplying food directly to their consumers, either on or off the premises. It actually allows consumer to make informed choices about the places where they want to eat. And through these choices, this is very curious and interesting that through these choices, it actually encourages the business to improve their hygiene standards and thus reduce the incident of foodborne illnesses. I'll very quickly take you through the presentation that we have. It is an introductory presentation on Fixie and what we do, followed by Dr. Hina Yadav's presentation on hygiene rating scheme. Food Industry Capacity and Skill Initiative, that is FICSI. It is the Sector Skill Council for Food Processing. We are a non-profit organization and we are promoted by FICCI as well as NSDC. And our line ministry is Ministry of Food Processing and Industries. A brief about FICSI. We are very proud to announce that National Council for Vocational Education and Training has granted us the status of awarding body. And we work closely with several ministries, industry and NGOs to implement skill development program in food processing. We also boast more than 200 collaboration with colleges for UGC approved Viva course in food processing. These companies are in our governing council. As you can say, they are the stalwart in our industry like Nestle, Britannia, Cremica, LT Foods, MTR, Cargill, Patanjali, Haldirams, etc. Although we have numerous MOUs signed with various organizations, these are the few we would like to tell you about. We have a MOU with FSSAI in the German Chamber of Commerce, Canada Sector Skill Council for Food Processing, that is our counterpart in Canada, Indian Institute of Food Processing and Technology, Central Food Technological Research Institute, Good Food Institute, Indira Gandhi National Open University, Lady Irwin College, and TOCLAI, that is a Tea Research Association. This is what we do. We develop qualification pack and learning materials. We train the trainers as well as the assessor. We give center affiliation and accreditation. We have a job portal. We are the approving partners for National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme. We have a learning management system through which we skill people. We do assessment and certification. So that is about us. You can follow us in all the social media handles. Now coming on to the today's guest lecturer, Dr. Hina Yadav. She is working as technical officer at FSSAI for last 6 years. She is a PhD and her area of expertise lies in food and nutrition. She is a national level resource person. And of course, she has been a trainer for several trainings for food business, hygiene rating audit agencies, as well as regulatory officials of FSSAI and EIC. She has worked on various technical documents related to food safety and hygiene training, FSMS documents for industry, guidelines for COVID-19 pandemic, etc. She has also, she was a part of panel member for formulation of Indian standard on food safety and hygiene, the code of practice for food businesses during epidemic or pandemic situation, specific reference to COVID-19 at Bureau of Indian Standard, that would be BIS. She has also authored book on subject of food science and nutrition and have various research paper on her accolade. That is from my side. I would like to request Hina, Dr. Hina, to please take it forward. And first of all, welcome Hina, and we on behalf of Team Fixie, we would like to thank you for coming here and giving your valuable time. Over to you.
Thank you so much for a kind introduction and thank you for inviting me. FSSAI has been working on various initiatives and hygiene rating is one of the schemes which is working towards ensuring food safety and hygiene for the consumers. It is a wonderful opportunity for me to present this to people and make them aware about it. I understand we have a mixed group of attendees today from industry, colleges, etc. So I will try to keep my presentation simple for everybody's understanding. Please do post your questions for me, which will be taken in the end of the session. So before your hygiene rating scheme, before I speak about it, it's really important that we understand the main India movement. I guess my slides are giving some problem. Just a second. So Eat Right India movement was a large-scale effort of FSSAI to transform the country's food system. The whole idea was to ensure safe food for the consumers, as well as promoting health and sustainability in the process. So this movement is a judicious mix of regulatory, capacity building, collaborative, and empowerment approaches, where the whole idea and intent is to ensure food which is good both for the consumer as well as for the planet. Eat Right India has three key pillars. So the movement talks about eating safe, wherein ensuring that the food which is being prepared isn't prepared in hygienic premises. The food is good for consumption. There's no adulteration. There's no toxic residues in food available. The oil, etc., which is being used for preparation is of good quality. Apart from that, it is also important that the safe food is healthy and is providing appropriate nutrients to the body. For that, Eat Healthy pillar of Eat Right India movement, targets ensuring a balanced diet, promoting dietary diversification, eliminating the harmful, components like trans fat, high fat, salt, sugar, etc. from the food, and also promoting the consumption of micronutrients through fortified staples. Now, while promoting a safe and healthy diet, it is also important that we have sustainable approach towards it. So ensuring that various activities and initiatives have been started to promote eat sustainable. So promoting the consumption of local food, ensuring that food is not being wasted, reducing the use of plastic, conserving water, reducing the use of chemicals in food, etc. are the key approaches here. Now, it is important that there's a demand as well as there's a supply of such, food. That is the approach which is successful in today's time. So on the supply side for the food businesses, various initiatives and have been started for building the capacity of these food businesses, for having certifications to encourage that these principles of Eat Right India are being implemented well. So hygiene rating focuses on the supply side. Where the food businesses who are focusing on ensuring safe food, hygiene rating is the key approach in promoting that. On the demand side, also there are various initiatives and awareness activities which are targeting the consumer to ensure there's a demand for safe and healthy food. And sustainable, there are various initiatives like I talked about. Now coming to hygiene rating scheme. Hygiene rating scheme is an online transparent scoring and rating process. The concept is not new in many countries. So in a similar way, there's a rating scheme which is being introduced in the country. The whole purpose is to ensure that the food businesses are self-compliant with the food hygiene and safety requirements. And it is also one mark which will help consumers in making informed choices. In a large country like India, when there are lakhs and lakhs of food businesses and retail outlets available which are catering to these consumers, ensuring food safety on each and every premise is a difficult and almost impossible job for any regulatory body. So it's really important that we have such schemes in place which ensures that food businesses imbibe that culture of self-compliance. And hygiene rating scheme clearly targets that. Now coming to who all are being covered, who are eligible for getting hygiene rating certification. So on your screen, you can see there are 4 categories who can apply for hygiene rating. First, the food service establishments such as dhabas, hotels, restaurants, your cafeterias, coffee shops, etc. can go for hygiene rating certification. Apart from that, meat retail shops. Only the retail shops which are selling meat and meat products can go for this hygiene rating certification. Then another high-risk area, which is the sweet shops, are being covered under hygiene rating certification. And again, in bakery, only the retail outlets of bakeries which are selling directly to the consumers are being covered in hygiene rating scheme. How do we get hygiene rating certificate? There are certain prerequisite requirements for food businesses to get hygiene rating certificates. These are basic requirements which any food business must follow. FSSAI license or registration. In India, it is mandatory for all food businesses to have FSSAI license or registration according to their capacity and annual turnover. So for hygiene rating, this is one of the basic and the first requirement. Second is appoint a food safety supervisor. A food safety supervisor is a FOSTAC trained food safety supervisor. I hope that all of you are aware about FOSTAC team, our FOSTAC ecosystem, but still I'll tell you that FOSTAC is Food Safety Training and Certification Program of FSSAI, which focuses on training the professionals of food industry to ensure that there's one trained person available who knows about food hygiene and safety. So there are certain requirements how many food safety supervisors must be there. So food business must have appropriate number of food safety supervisors in their premises. Now the third requirement is to get the food and water samples tested. Now this requirement is only for the licensed food businesses and not for the registered food businesses, which are the smaller FPOs. The Act and the regulations also talk about certain periods and certain kind of test which needs to be done for water and food products. The same are applicable here as well. So no additional requirement has been added. Apart from that, there's a requirement which is also a mandatory requirement for most of the FPOs is to display food safety display board. So the FSSAI license or registration that they're getting, they need to display in form one of the informative boards. That is the your FSDB, the food safety display board. Now, once all these prerequisite requirements have been fulfilled, then the FPO needs to go to the HR website, select the audit agencies. We'll talk about the audit ecosystem later, the audit agency, and get their audit done by their auditors. Once the audit has been done successfully, then hygiene rating certificate is provided to these FPOs, and this can be displayed in their premises. Before I talk about this entire process in detail, that how audits are conducted, what are the steps being followed and all, it's really important that we understand what is this audit ecosystem. So coming to the hygiene rating audit ecosystem, first of all, I'll talk about why does the authority needs the ecosystem? Why not the regulatory officials go and do these audits? So I must point out why there's a need. So if on your screen, you can see approximately how many full-time and part-time officials are available to manage approximately 43 lakh plus FBOs in the country. So no matter how many officials we have, still the number of the food businesses are growing continuously in the country. Keeping food safe should be the priority, and that being managed by the regulatory official is a difficult task. So we have a limited regulatory officials for them to assess and ensure that food which is being prepared by these premises are safe is a difficult task. There are limited inspections happening, so which also brings a gap in implementation of food hygiene and safety. Apart from that, since there's no inspections happening, the FBOs are usually unaware, especially if we talk about the smaller FBOs, the petty FBOs and all, they're not even aware about the food safety requirements. So sometimes there's a gap in implementation. Now, this gap in implementation leads to gap in ensuring safe food to the consumers. Further, there's no mechanism which helps consumer in understanding that, whether the food which is being produced is safe or not. So we need to have schemes and ecosystem to ensure that. So the audit ecosystem of FSSAI, works towards promoting self-compliance. Once the FBOs are going for these kind of certifications, the FBOs are encouraged to comply themselves. They themselves review the requirements that needs to be implemented. If there are gaps they need to fulfill, they look into it. So there is one brush up with the FBO that these are the food safety requirements that I should follow, and these are the things that I need to do to ensure these requirements. Further, it helps in developing a self-sustaining ecosystem. There's a demand for hygiene rating certification, there's a demand for audits, and there are agencies available who can conduct that. So it's a self-sustaining compliance ecosystem. Further, it supports the regulatory ecosystem in enforcing these standards properly, further strengthening our enforcement system as well. Then another thing is it helps in reducing the load. Of course, if there are auditors who are working hand in hand with the regulatory officials, definitely we have more number of people who are on ground assessing the food hygiene and safety. So they help in reducing the load of the inspections. Further, it promotes that culture of food safety and hygiene. It promotes that food safety is not an option, but a necessity when it comes to food production. Now, coming to the hygiene rating audit agencies, which I mentioned will be, conducting the audits of the FBOs for hygiene rating certifications. Who are these agencies? So Quality Council of India on our behest has started a hygiene rating audit agency recognition scheme where, with basic requirements, the, organizations can actually apply for this recognition procedure. The basic requirements is that you have to be a legal entity. You should have trained hygiene rating auditors. You should have a technically competent manager to manage the entire process. So minimum 3 HRAs are required. There are other requirements also which are very basic and minimal and simple to implement. So audit agencies in the field who may be doing the second party audits for FBOs, who may be involved in other certification schemes, can apply with QCI for hygiene rating audit agency recognition. The link is given on your screen. The recognition process is also very simple. Once you fulfill these prerequisite requirements, you apply to QCI and you complete the process of review and assessment. So once you apply, there's a proper document review, there's a review office assessment, and there's also a witness audit which happens. The assessors of QCI, ensure the proper compliance with the requirements of the audit agencies. Once the audit agency is found to be competent, then they are permitted to become a part of this ecosystem and they get their recognition. Once any audit agency gets recognition from QCI, they can come to FSSAI. They register on HR portal, which is the hygiene rating portal for the scheme, and they can start the process of hygiene rating certification. Coming to the hygiene rating auditor, these agencies have trained and certified auditors who are the pool which will be going on ground and do these kind of inspections for FSSAI. So hygiene rating auditor is trained and certified by FSSAI for conducting hygiene rating audits. But before we actually select these auditors for training, there are certain prerequisite requirements which you can see on your screen. Number one being that they should be a technical professional. They should have some education qualification which is relevant in the food sector. Then they should have thorough knowledge about the Food Safety and Standards Act, its rules and regulations. Then they should have work experience in the field of food for more than 2 years. And they should have at least minimum 30 man days audit experience. Now, a lot of query comes when I talk about man days. This 30 man days is not hygiene rating certification. This can be experience in any of the certification schemes or implementation of FSMS requirements, GMP, GHP in the industry. This can also be a second party audit experience. So once any auditor fulfill these requirements, they undergo a 1-day training. They send I'll tell you the process. Only the agencies are permitted to send us the nominations right now. So agencies send the nomination of their auditors. We scrutinize them on basis of these basic requirements. We shortlist them for training. There's a 1-day robust training, which is being conducted for them. It's a very rigorous training for them where they learn about the scheme, other ecosystems where the certifications are happening. Then what are the food safety management system requirements that has been laid under this act? Then apart from that, what we expect them to review for each parameter of the inspection checklist when they go on ground for different kind of food businesses. We assess their audit qualities. We assess their knowledge about the food safety management system. We also review how well they understand the scheme and other initiatives around it. And once they are able to qualify this hygiene rating training, then they get certified as hygiene rating auditors. These auditors then register with hygiene rating audit agencies and they are assigned audits by the agencies as well. Now, there's also a question that whether we are permitting freelance auditors on this portal or the independent auditors can come in and do hygiene rating certification. As on date, it is not permitted. You have to have some kind of agreement with an audit agency and you work under that audit umbrella of that audit agency only. So one-on-one, FSSAI assigning audits to any auditors or independent auditors submitting reports, registering on the portal and submitting hygiene rating reports to us is not permitted right now. Now, that is something. Yeah. Okay. So there's another set of audit agencies which are there in this ecosystem. These are third-party audit agencies. Now, there are hygiene rating agencies which are certifying all the initiatives under Eat Right India movement, and there are third-party audit agencies. Now, this special set of agencies are recognized separately. So they are recognized under this regulation. There's a proper screening procedure under which they are recognized. And once they recognize, the main difference between these agencies and hygiene rating audit agencies is that these are the only agencies which can conduct the mandatory audits. The audits which are mandated by FSSAI are only conducted by third-party audit agencies. If you look at the table given on the screen, you can see which inspections are conducted by third-party audit agencies and which are conducted under hygiene rating audit agencies. So hygiene rating audit agencies only conduct the initiatives, audits under these initiatives, while third-party audit agencies not only conduct these audits for these initiatives, they audit to conduct the mandatory inspections. So there are certain category of high-risk food for which it's mandatory for them to get inspection done. The third-party audit done on annual basis. So these high-risk categories will get audited from these special category of audit agencies only. While if they're going for any initiative, then they can go to any set of the agencies. So currently, we are permitting third-party audit agencies to directly, enroll for conducting audits of initiatives. But after 15th July, it is mandatory that all these third-party audit agencies also come through the channel of QCI. Of course, their process of recognition is very simple in comparison to a new agency, but to ensure there's no confusion on ground, to ensure there is a uniformity in information and everything, they must come from the common ecosystem, which is the HRAA recognition scheme. Coming back to the hygiene rating, certification process, like I mentioned, there were some prerequisite requirements. So once the FBO fulfilled those prerequisite requirements, there are certain steps that FBO can take offline about from the portal. There are certain steps which are online. So FBO simply needs to go to the website or anywhere where the list of audit agencies is published. They connect with one of the audit agencies and schedule their audits. Now, the audit agency is the main stakeholder which works on this HR portal. So audit agency will be filling the details of the FBO. So hygiene rating portal is linked with FOSCOS, which is the licensing portal. So the moment the FBO request for the hygiene rating certification, the audit agency needs to fill the license or the registration number on the portal. And it needs to be verified there and then whether the license is active, whether it has been suspended, it has expired. Only when the license is found to be the license or registration is found to be active, then they can proceed with scheduling the audits. So they fill the license number, they get the detail of the FBO. Audit agency here has a provision to change the name, change the other information of the FBO, which needs to come on the certificate. Apart from that, they also needs to fill in whether there's a food safety supervisor, initial information is there, the email of the FBO, because the hygiene rating portal in its phase 2 will be having a provision to directly send the hygiene rating certificates to the FBO on the completion. So all these information is filled in here. Then the hygiene rating audit agency, HRAA, selects the auditor, which has registered under them, and they can schedule the hygiene rating audit with them. On the date of audit, the HRA, which is the hygiene rating auditor, the trained professional which has been certified by FSSAI, will go to the food premise, will conduct the audit. This audit is conducted on the checklist, which is in line with our mandatory inspection checklist. They conduct it. The portal provides the provision to upload the evidences there and then in front of each of these parameters. The audit agency will identify whether the prerequisite requirements are fulfilled or not. If not, then the certification will not be given. Also, the auditor will see whether if there's any major non-conformity. There are certain, parameters which may cause a major risk in food safety. If those are not fulfilled, then it's the responsibility of the auditor to not give the certification and also submit the report and inform either the State Department or FSSAI about the major non-conformities. In case, let's believe that, once the auditor conducted the audit, everything was in place and he was able to proceed with the, submission of report. So they'll submit the report on the portal. So everything is happening online on the HR portal. So once they submit the report, this report goes to the audit agency dashboard. So FSSAI only deals with audit agency directly. So it's important that the audit agency verifies whatever reporting auditor has done for them. So once they verify it and submit, that is the final submission of the report on HR portal. And there and then automatically the hygiene rating certificate of the FBO is downloaded. The audit agency then can email the certificate to the FBO who needs to display it on their premises. It's really important that when we talk about food safety display boards or hygiene rating certificates, they are displayed prominently for consumers to see them. And in fact, in display boards and hygiene rating certificates, they should be readable to the consumer. They should be placed in that manner. This is what the hygiene rating certificate looks like. We do not have stars or numbers to ensure that there's a distinctive mark. We have used smileys because in mention relates with the emojis, the smileys more frequently. So the smileys are used. The 5 smiley, indicates the excellent performance. 4 is very good. Then 3 being good, and so on. So the key feature of this certificate, once this entire process is completed and the final report is submitted by audit agency, the certificate will have a verified tick on this thing, which shows that it has been verified properly. The certificate also has the name of the FBO, which can be modified. For example, an organization XYZ Organization Limited may have outlets on different names. So the certificate should have the name of the outlet and the location. For example, if I have an ABC outlet in Connaught Place, it should say ABC, Connaught Place here. The audit agency and auditor both have this option to edit this part in the checklist. Now, apart from that, it gives the location, the license number or the registration number of FSSAI. The validity of the certificate is given at the bottom. Then the verifying audit agency details, the QR code obtained the details of the FBO, and a disclaimer which says that the indicates the hygiene and safety requirement at the audit. Also the detail of the authority, whether the license is active or not, whether, what is the name of the agency which has done the audit, and also the trained supervisors, if they have the number of trained supervisors, etc., which has been collected during the audit. Now coming to next slide. What is the role of audit agency apart from conducting audits? Of course, that's the primary role. That's why they're coming into the ecosystem. So one, they need to conduct the audits for hygiene rating certification program. Apart from that, Eat Right India has multiple cluster certification programs as well. So these are Project Clean Street Food Hub, where the cluster of street food vendors are being certified. Then you have Clean and Safe Fruits and Vegetable Markets, where these fruits and vegetable market clusters are being certified. There is a campus, there is Vogue. Campus is for offices, jails. All these are being certified. Vogue is blissful and hygienic offering to God, where, the temples and places of worship are being certified for food safety management system, healthy approach, and sustainability. Now, apart from them, it is also important that if there's a major non-conformity, if there's a major non-compliance identified, they must report it to the food safety department. They must maintain the confidentiality during these audits, any internal informations, the details of the FBO, various, personal information regarding the food formulation, the recipes, etc., should not be revealed. Plus, it is mandatory for them to submit all the evidences along with the report to FSSAI. Report should not be submitted. Now, in this whole ecosystem, FSSAI also has certain roles to play. So FSSAI is the overall manager of the hygiene rating scheme. So, development of the portal, developing policies around the hygiene rating certifications, reviewing these policies, reviewing the progress on the portal, everything is the responsibility of FSSAI. Further, the FSSAI team is also required to review these, reports on a regular basis to ensure that the hygiene rating certification is being done in an appropriate manner. Apart from hygiene rating certification reports, it is also important to review the process being followed by these audit agencies and auditors, which is the responsibility of FSSAI. And from time to time, if there's any gap, there's any complaint which has been, received, that needs to be reviewed by the authority. Apart from that, coordination with the state, coordination with these audit agencies, FBOs, auditors, etc. This is also the responsibility of, FSSAI. So FSSAI also has, an ecosystem where MOUs are being signed with the state, and in these MOUs, funds are being provided for strengthening the food safety ecosystem. Funds are also provided for implementation of various Eat Right India initiatives, and hygiene rating is one of them. The coordination occurs with state as well. Now, apart from that, development of policies and strategies for scaling up HR certification in the country is also crucial. Now, benefits of HR certification scheme. We all must be thinking that what are the benefits of this scheme? Why an FBO should go for a voluntary scheme? So one, I've mentioned in the beginning that, hygiene rating certification scheme itself is providing an opportunity for food business to promote self-compliance. It is also providing FBOs an opportunity to showcase the quality and hygiene to the consumer, which brings confidence in consumers that are eating out. Very simple example I have been giving about this consumer confidence is whenever we're ordering food on the e-platforms, we just open the app, and when we start selecting, the outlets for the food ordering, one thing that we primarily notice is the rating of that restaurant. We always try to go for ratings like 4.5 or above 4 when we're ordering food. So if the rating is less, we try to avoid that outlet no matter, even if we're finding the kind of food we want to eat or the pictures are really appealing, it tends to lower our confidence. So these are some of the private, the private rating systems which are in place. Over here, why not develop a robust, certification or a rating system which is actually certified by the government so that consumer has a confidence when they're eating out or even when they're purchasing something from these retail outlets. So these certification schemes will be beneficial in the long run. Now coming in, there's also increase in consumer confidence when they see a regulatory body's certification there. Now, the most beneficial one, which I say, which tempt the FBOs, is the relaxation that we're providing. So recently on 2nd May, FSSAI has released an order regarding the risk-based inspections, in which the timelines for which different inspection needs to be carried out by the the regulatory officials is given. Certain categories which have been identified for third-party audits have been given, and also exemptions from the inspection has been added. So there is a provision now that if a FBO is going for hygiene rating and they get 5 plus, the 5 rating, then they will get an exemption of 2 years from, the mandatory inspections by the regulatory officials. So it is really important. One, it gives an encouragement to FBOs. This is one of the major perks for them. But it is also, it brings a more specific burden or, specific challenge for the authority to ensure the quality of these audits. It also, points out to the audit agencies and auditors that they must be very thorough with their knowledge about the scheme and other requirements of food safety laid by this act and the authority. Also, it is really important that they are very, very thorough in their audits when they're conducting these audits, because for 2 years we're giving a relaxation, which is not a small thing. So right now, the authority is taking measures and developing policies to ensure that the audits which are happening on ground are actually proper. There's no gap, there's no just false reporting which has happened. From me, apart from that, I'll just give you a feedback that give you an update, sorry. So with Quality Council of India and third-party ecosystem, we have 40 plus agencies, 44 to be total in the country for conducting hygiene rating. Recently in December, we have, on the basis of review, simplified a hygiene rating process, which has helped us in scaling up further. It is also encouraging FBOs in the long run to go for hygiene rating certification. At present, we have certified more than 20,000 plus FBOs. I understand that number is very less when we see the number of FBOs in the country, but encouraging to see that we have done more than 16,000 audits within 6 to 8 months previously. Also, we are coming up with various perks and various programs wherein hygiene rating can be promoted for FBOs also, if they're doing good, this thing. So if continuously for years they have good hygiene rating, then definitely the relaxations. Then plus, we are also coming up with a very stringent scheme where the review of the audit agency's assessment and the assessment of the audit done by the hygiene rating auditor is being done. That's it from my end. Thank you. So on your screen, you can see the link for eTriage India website.
Thank you, Hina. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. Now we are going to open the chat for questions. So please participate. If you have any questions, please write your question and we'll take them one by one.
Is the chat on for this meeting? Because I'm seeing a text that we get. I put some light on that. Maybe I'll answer etc. Have been asking this question that how it can be beneficial to us. So my suggestion is that with minimal experience of audit with any of these organizations, you can come into hygiene rating ecosystem. We are looking into developing a pool of auditors to ensure that auditors are locally available in each district. So in your areas, you can actually start working with these agencies and gradually become a part of this ecosystem. We are also looking into the provision for relaxing these audit experience so that you can enter this ecosystem easily. This is one of the things which is being asked. Then also certain third-party audit agencies have been asking whether it's important for them to be part of hygiene rating, the recognition scheme, and how does it impact. So it's really important. One, there's been a lot of confusion. So if I talk, there are third-party audit agencies for audits, there are hygiene rating audit agencies for audits, then definitely there's a confusion. One, it helps in aligning the entire ecosystem. There's also been a gap in the providing information or sending information to these agencies. So once they're part of a common pool, it's really be easy for us also to align these things. And further, we don't come to know whether an audit agency is interested in doing these audits or not. We come to know only when they will be able to register this ecosystem. So do we have some questions? I can see some raised hand, Pushpita. If we're not able to get the chats, can we give them an option to mute themselves and share?
Yes, we are seeing some questions. There's the first question by Mr. Ravi Kaushal, which is saying that please clarify regarding marking point in the checklist. What are the parameters which are considered during the hygiene rating audits?
Okay, so I'll give a brief for this thing. So all these checklists, they are based on Schedule 4, which are the good hygiene and sanitary practices specified under the Act. So in this inspection checklist, there are certain, points, though the entire, the parameters mentioned in this inspection checklist, everything is important and crucial, but certain parameters are completely unavoidable. So we put an asterisk mark over there, a star mark, indicating that these are mandatory. Also, the scoring of these, the checklist is scored on 2 and 4. So these asterisk marks are given 4. So whenever an auditor is doing an audit, it is important that these very critical parameters are implemented. So, for example, one of the critical parameter is actually your water testing requirements or ensuring the portability of water. So if the water is not tested or the water is not found to be potable, there's no point giving them hygiene rating certification. So it is important that it is fulfilled. Can we come to the next question? Hi, Pritha, good to see you. From my office to your office.
Yes. Yes. From yours to mine. So, which question have you taken, madam?
First question. The first one?
By Mr. Ravi Kaushal.
By Ravi Kaushal. Just a moment. Okay, so there is one question from Saujanya Lakuju. He's asking, saying, hi, Hina, thanks for the presentation. So is this mandatory for manufacturing units in food industry? And is this audit come under FSSAI supervision or completely QCI so that NABL accredited labs can handle these?
Okay, I'll try to explain. So hygiene rating certification is part of FSSAI ecosystem. We have, requested QCI to recognize, these specialized audit agencies for us. So the audit agency recognition is with QCI. However, the implementation of the entire scheme is with FSSAI. So being an NABL lab, if you want to be a part of this ecosystem, you can touch base with QCI and see whether you're eligible for this or not. To best of my knowledge, there won't be a problem if you're not doing consultancy for the FBO.
Okay. So there is another question from Bhanu Sudhakar. He's from the beverage industry. So he is asking, already we are certified for FSSC version 5.1. So I am hoping it's FSSC 22,000 version 5.1 from DNV. So again, hygiene rating certification is required.
Okay. So beverage industry, manufacturing units, the hygiene rating certification is not for your kind of business. Hygiene rating certification is only for the retail outlets. Like I mentioned initially, the food service establishments, the meat retail outlets, the sweet shops and bakery retails. So beverage industry, if you're a centrally licensed, FBO, you can go for third party, but not hygiene rating certification. And to best of my knowledge, third-party audit is also not mandatory for you. So you're good to go. You'll meet the regulatory inspector soon.
The other question we have is from Mr. Sarat Lal. I think this question is regarding the Eat Right campus. So can a school with canteen be a part of it for the Eat Right campus?
We
school with only a canteen.
So we also have a special certification program for schools, which is Eat Right School. So schools can actually apply for Eat Right School, where the campuses, your cafeterias and all are certified for safety. And apart from that, we also have various activities and schemes for the children and the teachers. So you can look into the Eat Right School part on the Eat Right India website.
Okay. So there is one question from Dheeraj. As per standard, there is a requirement for IS 10500 for water testing. However, please confirm if the water test is not as per IS 10500, as water test sometimes does not have all 62 parameters. Can we give them half point out of 4?
Ideally, the inspection talks and says it's either 4 or 0. And I'll request you to go to the FOSCOS website. There are also FAQs regarding this. Especially in case of 10500, we don't ask for the your radiological and your UV related parameters. Only the physical chemical parameters are considered. There are also places or FBOs where they are using the test report of the public labs and public health labs. Those are also applicable. So there's a detailed FAQ on FOSCOS website regarding this. Please review that, and accordingly you can give them pointers.
Sorry, I was on mute. So we have some specific questions from the restaurant industry. So this I'm getting from the live YouTube feed that is going on of this webinar. So the first question is from Dr. Veena Kumari. She is asking, restaurant comes under category 16 preparatory foods. So will we getting relaxation of 2 years once we get 5-star in hygiene audits?
Yes, you'll be getting 2 years relaxation if you get 5 in hygiene rating audits.
Okay. So then there is another question from Chaya. She's asking, restaurant comes under category 16 preparatory foods. So again, she's asking the same question. The same question from 2 different people. Okay, so I'm taking.
Meanwhile, Pritha, you read your questions. There's one interesting question that we've skipped, which was in the beginning, which is really important to the certification scheme.
Okay.
The hygiene rating certificate is valid for 2 years, and your relaxation is also for 2 years. So very apt question, what if the validity of FSSAI license is for 1 year? So whenever you go for hygiene rating certification, the validity on the hygiene rating certificate will be the validity of your, license. So if the maximum validity of the certificate is 2 years, but if let's say your validity is 1 year or 6 months, then the license, your hygiene rating certificate will show the validity of 1 year or 6 months, whatsoever is the validity of your FSSAI license, right? And it will be renewed once your license gets renewed.
This is absolutely, this is one of the most trickiest and most important question that just got answered. I somehow missed reading that.
Complicated regarding this, so I thought let's reduce my email burden.
So that is another question. Dairy parlors who does retail sale, do they require hygiene rating audit?
It's not for dairy retail, only the sweet shop is the category in milk and milk products, which we are covering in hygiene rating certificate. However, dairy and certain categories of dairy are coming into the high risk category, so they may please check whether you're eligible for a mandatory third party audit. If you're a centrally licensed, if state, then you're saved. I guess there was some network issue in between. I can just hear you. Your screen alone. Yeah. Yes. Don't want to pay double price for hygiene rating, because sometimes what happens, we're facing this issue that FBOs are having a validity of 4 months or 5 months remaining, and they're going for hygiene rating certification. So, it's not fair that they pay again the amount for hygiene rating. So automatically, once their license is renewed, the hygiene rating validity gets renewed, and the updated certificate is available in audit agency portal. And in coming days, maybe 3 months max, the email updated version will also be emailed to FBO directly. So please ensure that the audit agency is actually putting in the right email address for your team. Yes, the ISO CBs can also apply for hygiene rating. You just have to come through the proper procedure with QCI and you can be a part of it. And if you're doing ISO certification for the FBO, there's no problem. You can also give hygiene rating to them. Very important question. No training is conducted by any hygiene rating audit agency or a FOSTAC training partner as on date. Hygiene rating auditors training, since it's a very sensitive and crucial training, is only conducted by FSSAI. So even if somebody is reaching out that we are conducting hygiene rating auditors training, it's not the auditor training, it's the awareness program. These trainings are only and only conducted by FSSAI. The agencies will send their resumes to FSSAI team. We will scrutinize it and then we schedule the training, and then the final certificates, everything is through our channel only. Certificate has a validity. So if you want to be a part of this thing and you want the relaxations again and again, please go ahead and do it. And also, it will help your consumer to be in confidence. So keep renewing it after 2 years. Thank you, Pritha. It was amazing to connect our team, and I hope I've added some value and I've cleared some doubts. Any other doubt, please do write to me. Pritha, you can share my email ID with them because I think a lot of people are coming to get lost if I type it in chat box now. Thank you so much. Do share the feedback. Let me know what I Thank you. Thank you. Take your leave. Thank you. Bye.